Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the Netflix science fiction adventure comedy film, The Electric State. This film stars Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Kiwi Kwan, Stanley Tucci, and Giancarlo Esposito. And this film is a giant film for Netflix. It cost $320 million to make The Electric State. That was the budget for this film. $320 million for this movie. And it's directed by the Russo Brothers, who has given us Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, Captain America Winter Soldier, all of those gems from the MCU. Along with them, the writers of those films as well. You have Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. They wrote this movie, so you kind of had an idea that this was gonna kind of be in the realm of a Marvel film. You got the directors of probably the most successful Marvel films, well, no, probably in it, and the writers of said film, and coming together to make a loose adaptation of the novel that was released in 2018 that is based on this material. It was kind of anticipated highly for me. I was looking forward to this movie for all of those reasons I just said, the ones behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And I wasn't looking for an Avengers film, but I was looking for something entertaining. This was a bad movie. This was bad. And I normally don't associate a film's budget with my review because that doesn't have anything to do with anything, but I couldn't do anything but scratch my head and wonder, how did this movie get greenlit for $320 million? And it's not interesting at all. This is not a good movie. It is paced bad. The story is bland. I had nothing to take away from this movie. Absolutely nothing. This is probably the hardest review that I ever have to do because I can't remember anything about this film. And I just finished watching it an hour ago. It's nothing that will grab you and say, oh man, that was good. Even we've watched bad movies and there's been a scene, maybe a shot in it or a line that was delivered good. At least there was something that you can take away from a bad movie. I can't take anything away from this movie. There's nothing in this film that makes me excited to see, like a clip. If you see a clip of it pop up on TikTok or whatever, and you're like, okay, that's the one good thing about this movie. There's nothing. The acting was bland. It wasn't bad. These are some really good actors in this film. Not only live action wise, but voiceover wise. You had a lot of premier talent in this film. I already stated Millie Bobby Brown, who's the star of this film. We all know from Stranger Things and what is it? Honora Holmes. Yeah, she's a good up and coming young actress. But this wasn't it. This wasn't it. This felt like a paycheck movie for her. There was no emotion at all. And I know she can bring it because I watch Stranger Things. I've seen her act in other things. I know she can act. So to sit here and say that she's a bad actress because of this film, that's not fair to her. I just don't think it was nothing there for her. There was absolutely nothing there for her to work with. Chris Pratt, I think it's time for everybody to come to grips, or maybe I'm late to the party, to come to grips that he is only Star-Lord. That's all he can do, because that's all I've seen him in every single movie that he's in. The jokes, the awkward, like, fish out of water type character that he plays. It's just not working. And it didn't work for this film. I'll put it that way. It may work in other films. Of course, it works for his portrayal of Star-Lord in the Guardian of the Galaxy films, but not in every single movie. He's the same in every single movie, and the Electric State is no exception. I did not care for his performance. Did not care for him in this movie. Uh, Kiwi Kwan, he wasn't in it that much, so it really nothing I can say about him. Stanley Tucci, probably, if he's probably the one takeaway as far as acting that I can kind of get with. Of course, that's Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci can shine up a turd and hand it to you, and you think it's a pickle. So he's that type of actor to me. He tried. He really tried. Giancarlo Esposito, I did like him. I did like him. It's just that the character hadn't. It was nothing. It was nothing. It's like they're introduced. There's no backstory. There's no development of these characters. So I don't know how to feel about these characters. You see that there's something there. The actors are doing the best they can with what was given to them, but that's it. It was nothing else to expound on. And that's sad because, like I said, wonderful talents in this film. The voice actors, you had Woody Harrelson, you had Anthony Mackie, Brian Cox, Jenny Slate, Alan Tucci. You had Carmen Domingo was in this movie for 5 minutes, and it was a cool little scene that he was in. Wish it would have worked out more or worked out better. You had Gronk in this movie, people. Rob Gronkowski was a voice actor as one of the robots. I cannot understand why a movie that is about a robot apocalypse was boring from beginning to end. It was absolutely boring. And the movie is about 2.5 hours long. And I didn't time it, but I was really looking at my watch the whole time so it could be over, but I didn't exactly know how long this movie is, but it's well over 2 hours. And it did nothing for me. It really hurt. People throw out when they do their reviews of movies, and they always throw out disappointment or underperformed or whatever the case may be, and they just throw those terms out there. This was a big disappointment, and what makes it such a disappointment for me, I had no expectations for it. Not in the sense of, oh man, this is going to be the movie of the spring or whatever. This is going to be the biggest movie Netflix ever put out. I didn't think that going in. I just wanted to be entertained, and I was not entertained at all by nothing. The only good thing, yes, I do have a positive about this movie. The only good thing that I can honestly take away, if anybody ever asks me about the movie outside of this show, is the special effects. The special effects look amazing. It looked beautiful. I guess that's where the $320 million went, because I didn't see where this movie warranted a $320 million budget. But the special effects were flawed. I love the designs of the robots, and all different. They weren't all the same. They weren't clones of one another. They were different type of robots throughout the film. They look good. The texture and everything. It looks really, really good. I did like that. But that's it. That's it. There's nothing about this movie that's appealing. And I guess if I got to put another positive to this, I didn't have to go sit in the theater for it. This was truly a Netflix movie. This was a Netflix movie through and through. It's if I would have went and paid my hard-earned money and sat in the theater to watch this movie, most likely in IMAX, because it appeared to be like a big IMAX event film. And so I would have been a sucker, went, got the IMAX ticket, sat down, and then 2.5 to 3 hours later, walked out of the theater with pure hate in my heart. I choose this. I choose this platform. I am a little nervous of going forward when it comes to the Russo brothers, because they're in charge of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars that's coming up in the next couple of years. I'm scared for that because outside of Endgame, after they've done Endgame, nothing else they've done has been good. Nothing else they've done has blew anybody's socks off. One thing I did like the Gray Man, with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. I did like that movie on Netflix nonetheless. But it had its problems. Oh, it had its problems. But I accepted it because I was entertained. There was some entertaining elements to that film that I can sit back and say, okay, I'll probably watch it again. There's nothing about this movie that will make me say, I'm going to watch this again. Sorry. The Electric State, which is currently on Netflix, gets a letter grade of a D+. Yeah, yeah, that really stinks. I was hoping for more, but man, I mean, at least the battle scene. They had battle scenes in here. The battle scenes were boring. How can you film a boring battle scene? And I've seen these directors probably film the greatest battle scene ever, or one of the greatest battle scenes ever in Endgame. And come on, and I can't help, and I know it's probably not fair to compare that to them, but they made the movie. That's the only reference I can use is Avengers Endgame. I don't know what happened here. I don't understand it. Probably never will. But I hope and pray moving forward that they get it together before Doomsday and Secret Wars come out. But that's my opinion. I would love to know yours. What did you think of The Electric State currently on Netflix? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network and like this video. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of The Electric State currently on Netflix. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.